Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It has been such a long time since I've done a chatty little sit down video on my own. Obviously the last one I did was the male side of infertility, Mark's perspective, male perspective on IVF, which was great, and I've had a really good response from that, so I'm so glad that that has been able to help you all. But moving along from that, I just wanted to talk a little bit today about my experience being pregnant following IVF. So for those that are new here, I am Nic. I am 27, going 28 next month. I have 2 blocked fallopian tubes and I needed IVF. I've been going through infertility and IVF for, well, my infertility is like, we've been trying for a baby for 3 years coming up, and I started my first round of IVF this time last year. Ended up having a freeze all round, and I was supposed to have my transfer in March, which got cancelled due to coronavirus, and then I ended up having my transfer in July and it worked. So here we are today, and I'm 16 weeks and 4 days pregnant. Woo! And I feel so incredibly grateful and blessed that it has worked for us first time. Like, I cannot explain to you how lucky I feel knowing that there's people out there that go for years and rounds and rounds and rounds of IVF. So yeah, I just feel so incredibly lucky. If you haven't checked out all my other IVF videos, if you're going through IVF yourself currently, check those out, go back and have a look at those. I tried to document as much as I possibly could through my entire journey and how I felt, you know, from when it got cancelled due to coronavirus, going through my frozen embryo transfer, going through all my stims. Literally, I can't believe it was a year ago. So, being pregnant following IVF, where do you even start? Honestly, it's pretty bizarre. I mean, please can we just ignore my hair because it's at a weird length, but it won't like all go into a bubble. It's weird because it's something you are working towards for so long that you don't believe it's going to happen. Not that you don't believe it's going to happen, but you don't believe it's when it's actually happening. So when obviously you get given an official test day with IVF, so similar to if you were ovulate and then you were waiting 2 weeks to test or waiting for your period to show up or whatever. So you get given a test day, and obviously we tested slightly early, came back positive, and you just kind of, I mean, we filmed our reactions, so again, if you've not seen that, go back. Yeah, we just kind of was like, this is crazy. How is, like, this is actually happening now, okay, what? And then honestly, the time between testing and going for the first scan was probably the hardest time for me. It's where the most amount of doubt sets in, because they give you this 7-week scan when you are going through IVF, which is quite a big milestone, because although your risk of miscarriage drops considerably by 12 weeks, it's dropped considerably by 7 weeks as well. Most miscarriages happen before 6 weeks. So yeah, you're just kind of sitting and hoping in that time that you're going to make it through, and is it going to happen, isn't it going to happen? I had a bit of bleeding around 5 weeks, so obviously my mind was kind of just like, oh my god. And obviously after trying for so long and going through IVF and having nothing left in the freezer, like, that means that if we wanted to go again now, there's nothing to transfer, so we would have to do all the injections again and the egg collection again and everything else. Those 2 weeks when I started bleeding was quite a stressful time, and I think IVF makes you, hear the dog, it makes you worry more, I think, because you have to go through so much to get there, I mean, I'm a really relaxed person. If you follow me on here or on Instagram for quite a long time, you'll know that I'm quite an upbeat, positive, relaxed person when it comes to especially big things. You know, if anything, it makes me feel like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. Essentially, I need to kind of just chill and get through it. So those first 2 weeks were pretty hard work, and you hear so much about the 2-week wait. And that being hard work, but to me that was a breeze in comparison to the 2 weeks between testing and the scan. So we booked a private scan for 6.5 weeks, I think it was at the time, because due to COVID, Mark isn't allowed into the clinic, so he wouldn't have been able to be there for that scan, but privately he was allowed to be there. So we wanted to do that first, because if anything was to have happened, I didn't want to find that news out on my own. I didn't want to be in the hospital and be a mess on my own. I wanted, and vice versa as well, like if it was great news, which it was, and there was a baby there, a little sack, a little jelly bean on the scan, I wanted Mark to be there for that too. It just didn't seem fair that we've gone through this entire humongous journey together and then he just can't be there. So we took it into our own hands to do a private scan first, which honestly, if you're in a position to be able to do those things, if your partner can't come with you to scans, I would 100% recommend it. It just made all the difference for us on our journey, for Mark to be able to be there. But yeah, so those 2 weeks were pretty hellish, and then everything was fine, and then after that it kind of just started to sink in a little bit. But still, I thought I would be when I'd heard about people that had got pregnant following IVF and they'd not committed to buying anything, or not, you know, fully believed it and got into it until like 28 weeks, I was like, I'm not going to be that person. I want to like fully commit when I know I'm going to like start buying things. I'm going to be excited. I want to live in the moment. And I found myself being like, do you think we should wait until like at least 12 weeks to start getting stuff or to start doing anything? And you do worry more than you probably, I mean, I'm fully aware that there's people out there that get pregnant naturally that do worry as well. Say if they've been trying naturally for a long time, or even if that's just in your nature, it's just not in mine. So I was like shocked when I had become that person a little bit. But yeah, I believed it. I knew the baby was in there. I was rubbing my tummy, I was talking to it. We've named it Pippin. If you've been here again for a long time, that's been Pippin since transfer day. So yeah, in that respect, I'd committed and I knew, but I wasn't ready to start buying anything just yet. And I think that's because in IVF you wait for so long and there's so much that can go wrong, and there's so much doubt that you believe that the doubt is still there almost. Like you believe that things can still go wrong, like at any point, because that's the way you've been conditioned to think, more as a protection method for yourself. You don't want to go through IVF thinking, oh la-di-da-di-da, thinking everything's going to be absolutely perfectly fine, when one day it might not be fine, you know. And we've all had those knockbacks in IVF and infertility in general. It just happens. And it's hard to get out of that mindset, especially when you've been in it for years, like a lot of us have been. So yeah, getting really comfortable in this pregnancy has been hard. Like most days I'm absolutely fine, but then there is a little bit of doubt in my mind. Like recently, a couple of weeks ago, it was baby loss awareness week and month. So I had been seeing a lot on social media, which was absolutely great, the awareness. I mean, it made me aware because it got me thinking, you know, and seeing all the amazing people that have gone through baby loss and survived it and just are doing their best, just because I was pregnant at about, I mean, it was a couple of weeks ago, so probably 12, 13, 14 weeks. I then started to think, oh, well, what if something happens? Like, oh, even though I'm past this 12-week point where your risk of miscarriage is so low, you still believe, or you still are aware that there's a chance that there's still something that could go wrong, because you do have those figures in your mind because of IVF anyway. And it's definitely an IVF mentality. But I'd heard from amazing people on social media again that had lost babies at, you know, 20 weeks or even later than that. And it still makes you think, I've not got to that point yet. Like, what if something's gone wrong? And then I've been worrying about the size of my bump, because when you think pregnancy, you think big bump, like a big lovely gorgeous round bump on a perfectly glowing woman. And I just didn't feel that way about myself. And again, like, these are my own feelings, these are not stemming from anything. I had been told that I'm small, and from a couple of different people, and I think it had, between that and the baby loss stuff, had got me a bit worried, because I thought, well, if I'm small for where we are in the pregnancy, does that mean something's gone wrong? Like, I haven't had a scan for 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean? I just think that it's such a worrying time, because you still, I think it's a worrying time for everybody, but knowing that it took a year from like starting IVF to getting a transfer, I don't want to lose this baby and then it take another year to get even a chance again. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm being quite negative here, but I just wanted to tell you how I feel going through IVF has affected me in pregnancy. But don't get me wrong, I have put my fears and feelings out there on my Instagram, and I hollered and you lot came back running at me with your answers. I pretty much said, don't tell me there's a bump there, don't tell me everything's fine, and I said something else as well, and I was like, these things just don't help me. And I was like, with so much love and respect, please just don't tell me this, because they haven't helped. When people have said them, you know, just because they care, it just hasn't helped me and my problem or my situation. But knowing what, putting out there what I didn't want to hear, I wasn't expecting any responses, because I thought, well, what else is there to say? But I think that was a story post that I had the most response on, and it was like 60 to 100 message replies from that story, and I've done a post on it and had another however many replies, and it was people feeling the same. I've never heard anybody talk about, I've called it bump dysmorphia, I don't know whether it's a real word, but it's just the way, like, how I feel about myself. I feel small, I don't feel like there's a bump there. Obviously I'd lost weight over the last 2 years, and then going through IVF, I think it has kind of like messed with my perception of my body and this baby growing inside me and my body and my bump and everything else. But people that have had IVF, people that haven't had IVF have come back to me and gone, I felt exactly the same, this is a thing. They've sent me pictures of their bumps at the same sort of time, saying like, look, like, this is what I look like, it's completely normal, everybody's different, which I'm totally aware of. I just seem to keep seeing people on social media, influencers particularly, that were pregnant roughly the same sort of time as me, who are massive, like, or just had a really nice noticeable bump, whereas I just feel like I've just gained weight. And clearly that's just the way my body's going at the moment, and it is coming, like, it is there, but I thought it would be different. And I think again that's down to my perception of what I thought pregnancy would be. And obviously I know that it's different for everybody and everything else, but I think that definitely my weight loss journey and IVF has really warped my perception of that, and then how I see myself through that, because you kind of think when you've been through IVF, you just want people to know you're pregnant. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's something you've been fighting for and wanting for so long. You do just kind of want people to go, oh yeah, she's pregnant. Like, I had a funny turn in the bank the other day and I thought I was gonna like pass out, and they just didn't know I was pregnant. They just probably thought, oh, she's got the Rona. Like, and I don't want to be that person, you know what I mean? I think that's just the way I feel about it, and that's just me. But everybody's messages and support and love on those story and the post that I did on my Instagram has really helped me. So if you are worried about a bump dysmorphia or worried about your body image going through pregnancy, please just go onto my Instagram and check that post out, because just read through the comments and there's so many people that feel the same, and it will make you feel just less alone. But yeah, pregnancy following IVF is harder than I thought. It took me until 12 weeks to buy something, and yeah, just I am excited, but I am like cautious at the same time. But it doesn't mean that I'm not fully immersed into it, you know. I am loving every single second of it when I possibly can. We talk about the nursery. We're talking about doing the nursery in a couple of weeks. We went and looked at pushchairs and prams the other day. You know, I'm committed to it, but it is a hard shift in mindset once you've been thinking and going through it for so long. Yeah, it's a strange one, but I am so happy to be where I am and everything else. Can you believe that next 5 months time there's gonna be like a next to me cot there, or like a bed cot, you know, what do they call them that the baby will sleep in? I need to start reading because I don't know anything. And this is another thing, when you finally get pregnant after IVF, because obviously with IVF, personally, I researched, I was the IVF nerd. Like, I know everything there is to know about IVF. Babies though, don't know anything about babies. I don't know anything about pregnancy. I don't know, clearly, because obviously my warped perception of my body is just not okay. But yeah, like, you know everything there is to know about that, but then you don't actually think about the next step. You don't let your mind wander too far into, oh yeah, pregnancy, well then what happens? Because what if you still stay on step 1 at IVF or whatever? So yeah, it's hard to commit to learn about the next part, really. And then also the weirdest thing as well is moving away from your clinic to your regular hospital where you're gonna have your baby at. They don't care you had IVF. You are so like wrapped in a nice bubble when you're going through IVF, and then you go to like a hospital where it's full of people, albeit socially distant, but they don't care. Doesn't matter to them. Like, you're just in the system with everyone else, and that just seems so weird to me after, you know, it being IVF for so long. So yeah, that is my thoughts and feelings on pregnancy following IVF at 16 weeks pregnant. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has helped you guys if you are pregnant following IVF, or if you are in your 2-week wait, or whatever else. But yeah, just know that I am doing okay. I know that video has seemed a bit negative, but I am doing really well. I'm going to be posting another video very soon about how I found my first trimester. Less so about the IVF side of things, but just more so about how I felt in myself and going through as a pregnant person. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel, like this video, share it with your friends, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you on the next one.